Hi everybody, I'm Jim Skelly and this is the Global Conversation. This is the second of our mini lectures for this current semester. There's a number of issues that I'd like to talk to you about today. I want to first say that I had an absolutely great time talking with the students the other day and J.D. Mininger at LCC, International University in Lithuania. I was glad to see all of you. Somehow it makes a difference, and I really hope we can do much more of that in the future. The technology does, I have to say, really blow me away, actually. I mean, it's extraordinary to be able to be talking with people who are 5,000 miles or 8,000 kilometers away and feel like you're almost there. So great stuff, great stuff. And please, I mean, one of the things that it gives you is a more personal sense of everything. And I would really urge all of you who were there and others who weren't there, of course. I mean, don't hesitate to be in touch. Drop me a line, ask me questions, etc. You know, just deal with our relationship through this course as though it's a conversation and that you've known me for a long time, okay? And please, as some of you have been doing, contribute to the various course forums and to the exercises on your stuff and where it comes from. And in that regard, I did want to say, keep up the good work with regard to the forums. And also, I've been reading them, and a number of people have been posting. I noticed that J.D. Mininger did post as well, and that I have actually responded to him and to others about the work of Michael Schellenberger and the Breakthrough Institute. I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. But I did post as well, open up the site for looking at one item of your stuff and where it came from. Try to find out. It's all detailed there. You can take a look. It won't be any problem for you. But take a look and see if you can get some sense if a t-shirt is made in El Salvador. And t-shirts, clothing is generally easier to find out about than some of the electronics. Although if you have any Apple products made in China, you may want to see what's been happening with regard to some of the conditions under which people are working and why some people are jumping off the roofs of factories in China. Okay? I mean, some of it's very serious stuff. I've given you a list of especially with regard to clothing, where you can find out some further information. And some of it will give you pause. I mean, it fits back, for those of you who've seen the story of stuff, it fits back to why the cost, you remember Annie Leonard looking at a very inexpensive radio. And she's wondering how it can be so inexpensive, right? Well, it's externalization of costs, of course. And in many cases, what happens is that they are able to pay people working in very poor countries very little money, and they don't have to look out for the environmental health and safety issues that they might have to in other countries. All of which keeps prices low because you have, and keep remembering this concept, you've externalized the cost, right? You externalize it the cost to the environment in some cases, or to the people who are working in a factory, you externalize it to their bodies. Now, I did want to say, too, that Sadie Lutmeyer, one of the assistant course coordinators, posted something about fracking that I think everybody should take a look at. It's a very interesting issue. It's part of the effort to, provide cheaper energy. And there are lots of issues around fracking. In other words, this is the use of high-powered, generally water, under enormous pressure, trying to break through rocks and get at oil and gas. Again, the question is this the way we should be proceeding? And it's that question really that leads to a question that I posed with regard to something that J.D. Mininger had posted about Michael Schellenberger, who is the president of the Breakthrough Institute. Now, Michael Schellenberger and one of his colleagues have written a book a couple of years ago, which has caused quite a stir, called The Death of Environmentalism. Well, I think it's useful to check out some of the debate around this. I'll send you a couple of articles. It's, you know, they're essentially arguing that old-fashioned environmentalism isn't the way to go. And they have a kind of very, shall we say, American view on things, very optimistic, technology is the answer, etc., etc. But I think it'd be useful for all of you to be familiar with this, because they are people who are saying that climate change isn't going to be addressed by the government. It's best addressed by companies and citizens in a traditional political fashion. There are lots of questions around it, and one of the questions I posed at the end of my response to JD was, where does the money come from for the Breakthrough Institute? There's no way of knowing, it seems, but maybe some entrepreneurial student can figure it out. Where do you think the money comes from for the Breakthrough Institute? Maybe somebody can dig through the internet a bit and find some things out. It says that it's a project of Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors, but it doesn't say where the actual funding comes from. And it might be interesting to challenge the Breakthrough Institute. You can write to them and say, hey, where does your money come from? Right? We sometimes find out that the money is coming from corporations, some of them with an interest in certain kinds of energy policies. I don't know if that's the case with the Breakthrough Institute, but you never know about these things, and you want to see whose interests are coinciding with whose interests always, because these things are never innocent, right? There's always some interest involved, and the question is it an interest from ordinary citizens, or is it from somebody who has economic interests? So take a look at that as well. Now, a couple of other things. One is a kind of difficult story for those of you who are cat lovers, right? I mean, I think one of the things that's shocking about this is just how many cats are being are killing. There's a Smithsonian study out claiming that free-ranging domestic cats kill between 1.4 and 3.7 billion birds every year, and tiny mammals like, you know, baby squirrels and things like that. They kill about 6.9 to 20.7 billion mammals annually. Well, needless to say, cat lovers are upset about this because they don't want to have to deal with this. The issue is keep the cat, I guess, from the point of view of the people who want to protect the birds. The issue is to somehow declaw the cats, make them less capable of preying on other species, and keeping them in the house. Now, some of the cats are just wild cats, feral cats, as they are called. But the issue is not a trivial one, actually, in the end. And there are people who say that you know, keeping the cats under control will bring back more birds. And of course, if you're thinking ecologically, birds have a lot to do with the way in which insects are eaten, etc. Right? You know, the big fear when I was younger was with the use of sprays, for example, against mosquitoes. You also were killing a lot of birds. And this is why the famous, shall we say, the first environmental book written by Rachel Carson was called The Silent Spring, because there would be no birds chirping. Okay, so you want to consider that. I'll send you a little piece on it, and a debate between two people, one a cat lover, one a bird lover, shall we say, from the Guardian newspaper. And you can see where you fit in on the debate. And if you want to start a course discussion about this, I think it's certainly worth doing. It's, again, one of those small aspects of our lives that does affect our environment and how we live, okay? And may have much broader ecological consequences. A couple of other things. I mentioned, I think last time, the smog in Beijing. And I've gotten more details on it, and I will send you, there are, again in The Guardian, some photographs taken which give you a sense for these levels of pollution, what it looks like when it's clear and what it looks like when it's really, really bad. It's a quick slideshow to give you a sense of things. But the actual data was that the Beijing Municipal Environmental Monitoring Center, this is a couple of weeks ago, said levels of PM 2.5, which are tiny particulate matter, right, had reached more than 600 micrograms per cubic meter in many areas. And the news agency Reuters said it may even have hit 900, which is its worst ever reading. So I'll send you copies of the photographs to give you a good sense of what the world looks like when it is when there's that much air pollution. There's a very interesting report out too about golden rice. This may be the first major initiative in planting genetically modified rice. And you know, this is a very interesting story because the debate, I think we really need to be clear about this. The debate, and I'm going to send you two articles. One, which will give you a sense for, you know, the enthusiasm for this, because the rice has been modified to provide vitamin A, or vitamin A, as we say in Ireland, to counter blindness and other diseases in children in the developing world. And it's going to be planted soon. It's going to be planted initially in the Philippines. And the hope is that this will ease global malnutrition problems. And Bangladesh and Indonesia apparently have also indicated they're ready to accept golden rice in the wake of the Philippines decision. And one of the members of the bigger project says that vitamin A deficiency is deadly. It affects children's immune systems and kills around 2 million every year in developing countries. It is also a major cause of blindness in the third world. Boosting levels of vitamin A in rice provides a simple, straightforward way to put that right. And all you need, apparently, is to eat 60 grams of it, which is not a lot. And you get a sufficient amount of vitamin A. Now, so this is supported by a lot of supposedly good organizations, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, etc. And Mark Laness, the author of 6 Degrees, whom I've mentioned previously, all are supportive of it. And, you know, there are people, and I would put myself in, who are extremely cautious. And so there's another article that I will send you, is that it's difficult to trust that this is going to be okay. Because genetically modified food is increasingly in the hands of just major corporations who patent this and want to control food, okay? And I'll send you an article about that as well. It is a very, very interesting issue, however, and the question is, and you know, should we somehow make it more widely available? Part of the fear with genetically modified food is that, you know, you add a gene from another species, which may have a limited effect, but what I would call decontextualized rationality at work here. And the problem is that you may actually create allergic responses in some people. So let's say you put a fish gene to keep certain pests away from strawberries. Well, I have a friend who has allergies to fish. Will she then have allergies to strawberries as well? I don't think we know enough about a lot of these things, so it is worth keeping an eye on these. Now, the good news this week, okay? We all need good news, and I'm going to send you some information from the Bloomberg Energy Finance report on what's happening in the U.S. energy sector. Now, this, I have to say, is a very positive report. Let me give you the details. Between 2007 and 2012, the total energy use in the United States fell by 6.4%. And this is apparently not just because people are using less energy, but it's driven by advances in energy efficiency. You know, I don't know if you, those of you who are in this class, ever think about changing your light bulbs, but you know, there's ways to save a lot of money just by changing the nature of your light bulbs, right? So that they're much more energy efficient. Another factor apparently is the use of natural gas and renewable energy. Other major energy sources such as coal and oil have experienced significant declines. Natural gas now provides the United States with 27% of its total energy supply, and renewables, including hydropower, you know, from dams, supplied 9.4%. Now, you know, this is really excellent, and it means that the United States may actually be able to meet the goals set by President Obama some years ago to reduce its dependency on certain carbon-based energies. At any rate, it's good news, and I will send you the report from Bloomberg, along with the email that I generally send out. Well, that's all I have for this week. Please don't hesitate to write to us, let us know, and again, as I said to the students at LCC the other day, please don't hesitate. When it's a collaborative learning project, this course, it's not just me, right? You find information that's interesting, or you're researching a certain topic, make a posting, bring it to our attention. You can even send an email to everybody else on the list that you receive things from. You can start a Facebook discussion. You can do whatever you'd like in this regard, because the learning project here is a collaborative one. Okay? So take care of yourselves. I'll hope to see you again soon. Probably in a week or so we'll post something else. All the best for now.